Graduates, congratulations. I know that you're proud and your parents are proud of you as I am proud of Travis, my son. In July of 1991, which by the way is the year that a lot of you were born, the legendary point guard of the Los Angeles Lakers, Magic Earvin Johnson, was stepping up to the podium for a special called news conference. 2,500 miles away, I was driving through the windy roads of western North Carolina. I was working at a summer camp. I had the radio on and was just kind of immersed in my thoughts. All at once, they broke into the broadcast and said, "We're going to interrupt this broadcast to bring you this special news conference." That got my attention. And these were the words that I heard next. "I, Magic Johnson, have contracted the AIDS virus and am retiring from professional basketball." And with those words, for all practical purposes, Magic Johnson's professional basketball career was over. I ask you the question, did Magic Johnson in the prime of his career want to retire that way, announcing that he had the AIDS virus? Certainly not. But because of a choice that he made, he had an extramarital affair, he contracted the AIDS virus. And because of that one choice, that choice has affected him for the rest of his life. Here's what I would like to communicate to you today. Your life will not be decided by what you want, but by the choices that you make. You sit here before us today and you have dreams and you have idealism and you have aspirations, and I hope those dreams come true for you. But they're not going to come true just because you want them to. They're going to come true because of the choices that you make. I want to invite your attention for just a moment to an Old Testament character by the name of Samson. And like many of our graduates here today, he started off with great potential. When Samson was born, he was born to godly parents like these graduates here, and they gave him every opportunity that they could give him. He was also set apart by God with this special Nazirite vow that meant he was going to do something special for the Lord. And God's blessings were upon his life. And then the thing that many of you would remember from Sunday school about Samson is Samson had absolutely incredible strength. Supernatural strength. I'm not talking like the ESPN guys on those strongest man competitions. I'm talking absolutely phenomenal strength. For one example, we read that there was a time when he came up to the gates of this city. I want you to picture big castle wooden type gates that weigh thousands of pounds. And they're anchored to these pillars, these great big, huge pillars. Have you ever tried to just pull a stake up or a fence post and how difficult that is? Well, Samson walks up to these gates that weigh thousands of pounds. He jerks the pillars and the gates and everything out of the ground, puts them on his back, and carries them uphill for 38 miles. Supernatural strength to do the job that God has given him. All this potential, the godly parents set aside by God for a special purpose, and this supernatural strength. And you would think this guy would become the next great leader of Israel, right? You would think wrong. Because you know what Samson did with all that potential? As casually as I might wad up a piece of paper and throw it away, that's what Samson did with all that potential. Fast forward to the end of Samson's life. Through a series of bad choices, we now find Samson in Judges chapter 16. And he's standing there. His eyes have been gouged out. He's a slave. He's doing the work of a slave. He's probably naked, and he's standing in this temple with all these dignitaries of the arch enemy of his, the Philistines, standing there. And they're making sport of him, and they're spitting on him, and they're probably saying things. Look at you, Samson. Where's the great leader now? And Samson stands between some pillars that hold up and support this temple. And he asks God for strength one last time. And then he pushes on those pillars. The pillars move and the whole building comes crashing down. And Samson kills many Philistines, his enemies that day. But he also kills himself. A great hero? No. Committed suicide. He was supposed to be the great leader. He was the rising star. He was the guy with all the potential. But because of a bunch of choices and bad decisions, he ends up just a tragic, sad footnote in Israel's history. I want you to TiVo forward with me to the year 1995. I'm in a gym, again in the mountains of western North Carolina, playing in the men's basketball league. Didn't pay a whole lot of attention to who we were supposed to play that night, just knew what time we were supposed to be there. It's about 10 minutes to the game starts and the other team hasn't showed up. It's kind of odd. About 5 minutes till, they all begin to walk in. And they're all dressed the same. In orange jumpsuits. And stenciled across the back of those orange jumpsuits are the words, Roan Mountain State Penitentiary. Apparently, for good behavior, they were allowed to play in this men's basketball game. We played that day. They were the nicest guys. They were good sports. Most of them were ages 17 to age 25. They'd knock you down. They would help you up. They would compliment you on nice shots. They would apologize for fouls. After the game was over, we shook hands and they went back to the state penitentiary and I drove home and I began to think to myself, I wonder why they are where they are today. And you know the answer to that question is choices. In their case, bad decisions and bad choices. Now, I'm not suggesting that any of you are going to end up in prison because of your choices. But you know the fact is, nobody sits down in their yearbook and writes, see you in prison. Nobody says, I hope we get to wear orange jumpsuits someday. Nobody puts down those kind of menial jobs that people don't want to work when they're writing in their yearbook. But people make bad choices and bad decisions. And they end up in a different spot in life than they intended to be. You sit here this morning or this afternoon, and you have tremendous potential, and you have talents, and you have abilities, and your parents have given you all kinds of opportunities. And I wish the best for you. But it won't be because you want it, but it'll be because of the choices